Welcome back. In this video we're going to continue with our magazine layout. Now make sure we're on page 4 and 5, so go to your pages panel, double click page 4 or 5 to make sure the spread is on the screen, and also check 4 or 5 is showing up down the bottom. Now what we're going to do is add a title and a few images here, and that's really it for today, but we're introducing new things and some new techniques when we do this. So to begin with, to help us, we're going to drag a guideline in from the top. But before we do that, if we just check our layers palette, now remember the way I'm using it, I'm going to be switching between these, so whenever we're doing stuff, always check we're on the correct layer. We're going to be mucking around with text in a moment, so I'm going to do text layer, lock my master, and unlock my text. Now I'm going to drag a new guideline in, and I just want it on page 4. So I'm going to drag it from the top and just be on this page. Remember, if you go off into the pasteboard, it will go across both pages. I just need it on page 4. So I'm going to drag it into about 30 millimeters. If you can eyeball it, or you can just drag it in, and up the top, remember, you can just type in 30. If you've accidentally clicked it, just make sure you're on the selection tool and click on the guideline, and you can type in the value at the top. Now with that guideline put in, I'm going to use that as a guideline for where I'm going to put my title. So I'm going to select my type tool. I'm going to draw a frame from the bottom of the guideline right across the page, roughly that sort of size. I can resize this afterwards, so roughly that sort of size. I'm going to type in how we made our cover, and I'm going to highlight that or select it and change it to Arial. I know that it's not an exciting font, but it's one that you will have, Arial regular, and set the point size to roughly 40. Is it in the drop down list? Nope, so I'm going to type that in, 40, and press return. How we made our cover. At this point I'm going to resize that frame because it's way too big for what we require, and I'm also going to add a line across, shall we say, so a horizontal line. So I'm going to select my stroke or line tool. I'm going to check what we got selected. So we want a fill of black. Oops, sorry, let me undo that. Then let's draw the line first before I get carried away. So I'm going to hold my shift key down while I do this and draw a line all across. The shift key keeps it angular, not 100% straight, i.e. it will allow you to move around 45-degree angles. But if I don't have if I don't hold the shift key down, it can do this. So you can accidentally draw a wonky line. So shift key will keep it straight. So I'm going to draw that across roughly like so. Then make sure my stroke is actually set to the correct colour. And I think we should make that slightly thicker. So I'm going to actually go to my stroke panel. If you can't see the stroke panel, remember most panels are going to be under the window menu. So stroke. If you're working on text, it might be under the type window. So there's lots of windows here or panels here you can select. If you're working on objects, again it may be here, etc. But most of them will be under the window menu. So make sure stroke's turned on. If you cannot see it here, or you just click obviously the panel on the right hand side. The weight is the thickness. I'm going to just bump that up to 2 point, just slightly thicker. Feel free to play around with all this if you want to at a later date, but you can change the styles etc. much like you would do in Word. I'm going to move that up slightly. I'm actually going to drag this with it still selected. I'm just going to use the cursor keys on the keyboard just to move it up a bit. Now for the next stage, I'm going to have another guideline just to help us lay out the rest of our document. So I'm going to add a new horizontal guide, roughly around about 60. I got it spot on then, I think. You just select it again. Yep, 60 millimeters. If not, select live done again, type in 60 millimeters and put it in. And we're going to place the text file in on the first 3 columns. So before we've been placing text within columns itself, but we can actually drag across a column and put it in the entirety of those areas. So again, I'm just going to double check on my text layer. Make sure I've got nothing selected, so I've just clicked off on the pasteboard and gone File, Place. Now within my mag folder, so I'm going to jump back a level, go to Stories, How We Make DocX. I'm just going to select that and do Open. I've got the loaded text icon. I'm going to use this guideline as a guide and draw a frame that goes across the 3 columns. And you can see it's snapping to that gutter there and going green, so I know it's in the right place. And then just let go, and it puts in this bit of text. Obviously you can see where this is leading to, shall we say. So let me just deselect, check my print preview. So this is what we got so far. Now what I'm going to do now is add some pictures in this part. So we're going to use the first 3 columns for text and the next 3 columns for the images. So we're going to change to the images layer. So lock my text layer, unlock my images layer, and actually select my images layer as well. Now at this point I want to put 4 images here, so I'm going to have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 roughly here. Now this is going to be roughly done. It's not going to be precise measurements, so don't worry if yours isn't exactly the same. Just get it roughly around the same sort of area. So what I'm going to do is select the unassigned rectangle tool, or the rectangle frame tool. Remember, if this is set to something else, just hold your mouse button down and make sure you get a rectangle frame tool. Let's start at the top of this column and using the guideline, click and hold, keep holding the mouse button, don't let go. And excuse me, I'm going to go down to around about 180-ish. So if you look up the top left there, you can see the numbers changing. So I'm going to drag down to the Y's around about 180-ish. Keep the mouse button pressed down, do not let go. If you've accidentally let go now, just delete what you've got there and just redo it again, but don't let go of the mouse button. With the mouse button still held down, if you use your cursor keys up and right, you can subdivide your frame. So if I do it even more, you can see what I mean. So and if you do the other way, you can join them back together or reduce the number of subs and divisions. But I want 4, so there we go. We got 4 frames very quickly added. Now with all 4 frames still there, I'm going to place images into them. I tend to deselect when I do this just in case it starts to automatically try and put the images in, and sometimes it goes horribly wrong, so I just deselect at this point. And now I'm going to put a picture there, there. So File, Place, go back to our mag folder, go to our images folder, and we got step 1, 2, 3, 4, but we also got in here the photo shoot. So these are the original steps. So 84, 90, 94, and 0, 5. So I'm going to select those 4 and then just do open. And I'm going to, with it, the loaded graphic icon, you can see it's got a little number 4 on it, indicating there's 4 images. I'm just going to click on each frame. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously we can't see all the images, or we can't see the entire content of the image. So I'm going to select one of the frames, and if you look up the top here, we've got these fitting options. The one we actually want is fit, or fill frame, sorry, not fit, fill frame proportionally. And if I double click, you'll see the image is actually slightly bigger than the frame, but I'm not worried about that. All I want to make sure is the frame is actually filled. I'm not really bothered that it's cropping part off. That's not an issue. So I'm just going to hold my shift key down and select the other frames and do the same thing. So film frame proportionally. Now the pictures now are covering the entirety of the areas we want, and then we can start moving on to the next one. So that's a very quick introductions to fitting context to frames. Do play around with all of these. I mean, have a click on them, see what they do. Remember, Control Z will undo any mistakes, but basically you just want to select that one with them all on in this example. But obviously play around with these and see what they do. It's very, very important. Some very, very powerful tools here for you to play with.